Just
All right.
Too hard.
No, that's okay.
Too hardy. Today's review: Wingspan.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Maybe you've heard of it. Game of the year, I think 2019.
Who voted as that?
Sounds
A bunch
right.
of dumbs.
Wow. Designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, illustrated by Natalia Rojas, Ana Maria Martinez Jaramillo, and Beth Sobel.
Yeah, leave everything up to a bunch of women. See what you get.
Oh my god.
Just joking.
Published by SM and with Automa Factory, which is like a single player mechanic.
How to play Wingspan in 90 seconds. Well, okay, that's basically impossible because this game has so many moving parts. It's not that complicated overall, but there's no way to explain it all briefly. But here's the gist. Each player is given some starting bird cards, some starting food, and a personal tableau for playing them all on. The main idea of the game is to acquire more resources in order to play more birds on your board. For each turn, you use a provided player cube to show which areas of the board you are activating in your pursuit to acquire the resources. There are basically 4 rows on the tableau. The one at the very tippy top that you could almost miss is the area you put the cube if you want to play one of your bird cards on the board, but there is a cost to do so. Birds can only be played in certain habitats as explained on their card. Or you can activate any of the following 3 large resource rows if you pay the bird cost. The resource rows are also different habitats, so pay attention to these differences. These rows help you gain resources, either food, eggs, or more bird cards. The bird cards are played in these rows. The key to this game is the activation concept. You play your cube in whichever column has the benefit you want, starting in the furthest right open space of the row chosen. The board space will tell you what benefits you get by playing there. But also, any birds to the left of that space will also activate if they can when you drag the cube back over their space to the left, which can cause certain events to happen, such as gaining more of that resource or doing some other action. Therefore, you should try to put as many birds in the rows as you can, because when you activate the row, you get the benefit of each bird in the row each time you activate the row, resulting in greater and greater cumulative benefits. However, certain birds require a certain number of resources to be placed, some do not activate at all, some have value only when played with other birds of a certain type, and so on. There are also side objectives for each round of play that grant additional victory points. The winner is the person with the most points at the end of 4 rounds, which shorten as they go. Points are gained by the value of a player's birds, the amount of food or eggs the player has remaining at game's end, any additional points the birds may generate, such as tucked birds in their flock or that they killed, and any bonus objectives achieved by the player.
Yeah, so we just played our first game of it. I played it twice, but this is their first game anyway, and our first game together. 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, 40 to 70 minutes. It probably took us more like 3 hours, our usual first game length.
Somebody.
Yeah.
You're getting a free card from Rick's Action. That's it. Cody.
Oh no, I didn't prepare for this. I did, but then I forgot actually.
That was perverse, dude.
He said this whole time to be looking at his card.
That was perverse.
He instead decided to make a penis joke.
Sexual innuendos. I guess we're in 6th grade again.
Mental sexual assault is what that is. Boy, there's worm or rat. What are your choices? You could take the rat and then shuffle. Yes.
Just taking a wheat on this.
There's no wheat.
So
Okay. Cody, your turn.
is this game like 4 rounds?
Right.
Okay. So,
We're not even done with
seems to
round
be
1 yet.
taking like
It's taking forever
just to
because a
get
certain
off the
somebody just could not get the rules down.
Ricky.
Cody's turn, Ricky. I know it's been many eons since Cody was not going. Ricky, why don't you lead us today? What is it that you would like to say about this game?
Well, let's see here.
Oh boy, this is shaping up to be similar to his turns.
A big failure from start to finish. You mean?
Yeah. It's what do you call like the points?
Point salad.
Point salad. Of course, I might be biased because I lost, but
I think you were 3rd of 3.
No, actually, I didn't mind that at all. I want to play this again. It's not overly complicated, really. I mean,
It seems complicated.
it really isn't. You just got like I think Adrian said earlier. It's easier to. It's better to just play it than perhaps to have somebody explain it to you. Basically, it's all. I'm not even sure if there's any like one strategy to beat it, but what it seems like with point solids, it's like, well, you play it once, and you're like, oh shoot, if I did this like one thing differently, then like that's all you gotta do, and you win the game. I'm not so sure that's true with Wingspan, because like I thought for sure, like man, if you get like all the eggs, man, if you get like 1 billion eggs on your player board, you'll win the game. I had like way more eggs than everybody else. I was last place, so I'm like, what could I have done differently? So I'll get 4 eggs.
4 eggy boys. We'll need more eggs here soon.
Where's the show?
Activated.
And you get another free egg.
And tuck a card in and get another egg.
Alright, I'm not even gonna count it. Rick gets the goddamn most egg one. Well, you did in the game design's defense.
Mm-hmm.
You did that to the sacrifice of pretty much all other strategies. Like all you did was eggs. Like because you didn't have many birds. You didn't have much. Well, you had an okay amount of food, but you didn't have like a lot of tucked cards. You didn't have
the start of that was because I misread and misunderstood my bonus card.
You've done a good job of like playing a game this long without having any birds in your food biome.
I know.
It's pretty impressive, actually. Okay, you got 4 eggs. Okay, Ricky, you got 4 eggs.
Woo! 4 baggy waggies!
I thought that I had to have like a certain number of nests. So that's where it all started to go downhill for me.
Misunderstood something.
Yeah.
Did you have trouble understanding how the game worked, like from the rules explanations that I gave, or like did it make sense to you, or were you also as overwhelmed as Cody?
I think I got the main gist of it, and there's like 3 or 4 things that I had to ask you about at the start of my turn, but it was like a 1-sentence answer, and I immediately was like, oh, okay, so that's how that works. I enjoyed it, and I want to play it again.
Okay. Cody.
I thought it was mid, bro. It was no, it was like I don't know, it was like mid tier for amongst these. I don't know if this is so much a point salad game. I think it's more of a point charcuterie board game.
Okay. Moving that up. Ooh, Ricky's moving all his birds around. So both of those are just.
One thing this doesn't really, I guess I shouldn't bring this up because it doesn't really have anything necessarily to do with the game, but these point salad type board games are kind of frustrating because if you didn't win, you kind of leave feeling like, well, what the hell is the strategy? Like, what should I have done differently?
Yeah,
it's like kind of a positive and a negative all at once, because a lot of times there isn't you don't want a clear strategy,
Yeah.
Or everybody would just do that, but a lot of times you leave feeling like, well, what the I did everything good. I'll use 2 wheat and a worm to play this one.
Okay. In what forest? Alright, I get a free wormy bob.
Why?
Because anyone who plays up in that habitat, I get a worm.
Wow, that must be nice. That little cheater code. Anyways, as far as this game is concerned, it was good, and I don't think that there's probably any point salad games that are too complicated to understand, But I'd say this one was on the higher end of point salad games, and I think I just kind of prefer.
The higher end meaning hard to understand, or
yeah, just a lot of components and.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait, what does that symbol mean? Oh, wait, there's 3 rows. What is this other row? Oh, so if I do this, then that means okay. It wasn't that complicated, It's most games, when you play it once, you figure it out and do okay. But I'd say for point salad games, is on the higher end, and I feel I just prefer the more simplistic ones. So what's the stained glass ones?
Sagrada. We're gonna do a damn Sagrada versus Azul, so we can bring that game back because you bring it up in almost every board game.
I just really like that one. I mean,
That's fine.
It doesn't do anything necessarily like better than any of the others. I really like the aesthetic, and it's just simple, which is what I'm talking about. And what's the one? I almost remember the name. What's the one with like the sheets, the colors, and the dice?
That's called That's Pretty Clever.
That one.
But that's like a math roll and write game.
But it's kind of point salad, though. Like, you choose
Kinda.
which one you want. I mean, I think that's what I consider it. I prefer those that are just like, it's not the fact that they don't have a theme, or not really a theme,
Like they're abstract.
but they're just kind of like, it's straight down to like, you get points for this, you get points for that. It's just like, they're super easy to pick up and play. I don't know. I guess I don't want the point salad type games to be super like there's a lot of things to try to, there's eggs too, and there's this and that. Like, I'll save that for a different, more complicated game. But this one was fine. So I just prefer the simpler ones more, I think, for this. And as far as the theme goes for this one, like, it's cool. I like a theme, but it didn't really play in too much for me. Like if you activate this card, it does this thing. It's like, really, there's just birds on these cards, and like, that's cool. They have a name, and there's eggs, and whatever, you put them in the areas and stuff. Like, they did a good job of that, but like, it didn't play.
If I may disagree just on that
with me, like, unless you're doing like a card deck builder type of game or something, a lot of times the themes aren't super. Especially with something like this, where as I said, I kind of prefer more just like straightforward, just like easy pick up and play. I don't want a ton of different complexities to it.
Okay.
So, Cody, please.
That's the only reason he's used that damn flashlight since I brought it over to him. It's the stupidest thing I ever did.
You're right.
I would disagree just on the point that you made about the birds themselves. Like, I feel like this is fairly educational, and there's like people who made this game did a lot of research, because I think the birds, like the powers, quote unquote, that they have, like, are actually fairly tied to the type of bird that they are. Like, obviously the predators have a certain thing where they tuck, and the idea is that they're eating that bird, that other bird, and so you tuck them behind, and the more successful the predator is. And you have birds that are like, these are birds that are very good at building communities. So they are good at, like, you get this bird and you get extra eggs or something like that. And it's like, and they also, I think it's also fairly tracks to real life as far as like what kinds of foods they eat and stuff like that. And those are the costs of the game.
In that case, I would like, not to.
Go ahead.
I wish in that case they kind of worded it a little more, like, to be, like this. Maybe the ones where you like tuck a card under. When you do that, you get another bird. Maybe that means they like, I wouldn't know, but like, maybe that means they repopulate quickly. Yeah, well, so there's either the ones that eat birds and they get tucked, or like there's the birds that make a big flock, and that's tucking. Yeah, as well. Or like the ones that eat birds. Like, I wish they could have said like, tuck a card here, like, this bird ate another bird, tuck a card here, and you get this bonus, or something. Just word a little way to be like, straightforward. Because I just me, because I can't see great or whatever, but like, I wasn't thinking about it in any way. It was just like, there's birds. Like, these are bird cards.
I really like the vulture card. How it like benefited from birds being eaten, because it's just like the vultures. Like,
vulture would swoop in and eat their kill.
Yeah,
is like the idea. So there's actually a logic to what the bird does.
Watch this. Okay,
Richard.
We're gonna activate the bottom row here, and I'm going to get
one card.
This card here.
Vulture, of course. Leave it. No, that's the discard. Leave it to the vulture to take the vulture. Okay? And I'm sure some of the birds are kind of like, whatever. This is just a generic bird. We'll give it a extra die roll or whatever. But for the most part, it was very educational. I think most of the reasons birds do certain things, there's some kind of justification for it. And I know, like, I think based on what I'm hearing, I'm probably the most positive on this game. Like like, it's weird when I played it the first time. I think I had a similar reaction to it that you guys did. It was just kind of like I didn't feel like I had a fair chance because I didn't know what I was doing. The second time I played it, which was with you guys, I felt like I knew what I was doing, so I probably did have an advantage. And it was like, oh, you play it a second time, and you kind of like are able to play it with a little less confusion. You can kind of just go with the flow and like start chasing a strategy. And it's a game that like really rewards like just like relax, just like don't worry so much about all the little complicated rules, and just like kind of go with the gist of it, and like you'll eventually learn all that little stuff. I agree with Cody that I think that some of that extra stuff on the car, like the type of nest it builds and the number of eggs it can hold, that's like kind of information that's almost never important. So like it's like extra stuff you have to track that like might not need to be there. But at the same time, I feel like this is a very point salad game where like you're not overly punished for going one certain direction or not. I feel like you can be fairly successful like doing a little bit of everything. And a lot of point salad games is like that's not the case. You have to like focus on one thing or you just die. And I think this does a good job of balancing everything, keeping it fair between players. There's not too much luck or RNG that like can screw you, and like you can mostly do something with every bird that comes up. Cody, you obviously have something you want to say. What?
No, I will say something that
I'm gonna have 4 food. I'm gonna have more.
Good stuff. Refreshing.
I'm going to need an additional 4 eggs.
Now, Richard. Little Richard. No.
I'm getting better at controlling. It's my superpower. Well, like it's part of the not a criticism at all. It's just part of the strategizing. But like, because you only have a certain number of moves, and so it's so just like frustrating when you think you're like dominating a game and you end up having the lowest. I had so many eggs, and I had like I won the top like the 2 highest like challenges, so I thought I was like dominating. I thought I was like, man, I'm like destroying them. And then I was like the loserest of the losers. So
you did have the most empty board of the 3 of us. That has to play into it, but I see where you're coming from 100%. Like, and it's like you don't know. Like,
you
it's
just
like
gotta
every
hope
game
to
where it's
pick
like,
the right strategy.
Yeah,
to figure it out before all the turns are over.
That's what I was gonna get to. No,
there's definitely an element of games where it's like, oh, this character's actually a little stronger than the other ones, but you don't know that, like, because this game like values certain attributes a little bit more than others, and that's like this game obviously you gotta like have a decent amount of birds apparently, and like so yeah, there's a little bit of that, and like playing it a couple times would educate you on that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say little double pun here, but for like the first few turns I was flying blind. Double pun.
Sure.
87.
Okay, so 80, 87, 76, 72.
Adrian run amok and create all the rules. He wins every time.
Wow.
I'm surprised Adrian wins again.
I just cheat every time.
I think he wouldn't get much out of it. Changing things to his advantage to win, but it's like a dad playing with his kid. He just can't get enough of secretly grabbing money when the kid isn't looking. You're like, well, son, someday.
You'd think it's like
I don't know what he gets out of it, but
I don't know why I keep cheating, because you guys are on to me by this point. It's like it's not even it's pretty obvious. I'm just cheating.
No, but I basically got the game from the start. It was like specifics, but I don't feel like I really did anything. Like a lot of times I'll do things and I'm like, oh, I didn't know this like before.
Yeah.
Maybe even like the video said it or whatever, but I didn't catch on. I didn't feel like that at all in this game. I don't feel like I made any mistakes. It's just, which I already said this, but like point salad games are kind of annoying in that way of like depending on like what game it is, maybe like this one you get like a bonus card at the beginning. You don't even pick like one strategy. You're like, oh, I'll try to kind of focus on this and maybe a little of that. And you just kind of go with it, and then like it's just kind of random. I'm sure there are people that are like really good at it and win every time, but to me, like every point style game we've had just feels like kind of go in and just see kind of what you got, and then kind of pick, depending what you got, a strategy-ish, and then like maybe you'll win or not.
So where did you get all your points from?
Well, I tucked a whole bunch of cards. That was my main strategy, was tuck out of cards. But I got like I got like 15 points out of doing that, and then you and me tied on those 2 first placers, and I got second place on the other one. So I got like, well, that only gave me 1 more point than you. But I laid a Signet at the end, which is a swan that's worth 9. I laid the Warboar, which is worth 7, and I had the Owl that was worth 8. And the Owl, so every time I did food, the Owl and this chickadee thing at the beginning would both tuck a bird.
It feels like a game in the sense of like you got to pick some ish strategy and pick the best things that you have available for it. But because like that's pretty much what all of us do. We pick kind of a strategy and we're like, okay, I did the best I could with doing that thing, and then just somebody wins. I mean, that's what it feels like. But that, and then I was gonna say, but that's just general. That's not really to do with this game in particular. But then I was gonna say, maybe you don't have to word the cards of like it's a hawk. He's eating this guy. You could just say, like, put a card under, like, what it does, but then maybe, like, somewhere on it be like, hawks eat 30 smaller birds per year. They're a predator. Or, like, just a little thing to be like, oh, that's why this card is like this.
The cards do list, like, the territory and stuff, but, they could list on the card itself. There is an appendix. I love the feel of this manual. It's so textured. Or each, there's a lot of paragraphs about each bird. So, like, they give you a lot of the information, but, like, the card itself is, like, pretty minimalist. And then a lot of the details it does include to me seem unnecessary. I would like to say one of the cool things about the game is the engine that you can build of, like, like, if you have this row this long, and then the mechanic of the cube going back over each of those birds, and the bird activates, and you get a power. Yeah. And that can be... it's a combo essentially. By the end of the game, that row could be extremely powerful for you, and you can just get like tons of food. Yeah, and you can get extra eggs, and you can tuck a bird.
Let's say if there was anything about this game that made it like different than the other ones, that would be the thing. Other than that, I don't.
It's like I said, I really want to play it again. The trout, the combos, and different strategies.
But even that is like kind of dependent on like what card you're able to get,
Well, yeah. Like, a little bit, and
I was just laying down cards because it's like, oh, there's 5 points. I'm like, I don't.
You had some really good cards at the beginning.
Yeah, Cody had some good cards at the beginning. Rick, you focused. You got that whole middle row filled out, but you kind of did it at the detriment of the other 2. And like,
well, I was saying I had those 2 cards where I could like move them.
Move those birds from that
row. So I
kind
of used that to get me through a lot of the game.
And I think and that was like a good strategy. I think that helps you catch up, because I think you were way behind at the beginning, and that helps you catch up a lot, because you could skip a lot of the requirements for putting birds into rows.
They have to use eggs to move those cards.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think if you had leaned into that maybe even harder, it could have gotten you a little further. So it's kind of like a way to store extra birds, both of those first 2. They're hawk-looking. The American Avocet. Once between turns, so I think when it's not actively your turn. When another player takes the lay eggs action, this bird also lays 1 egg on one of the birds with a specific type of nest. But I do want to point out there are, I think, like 2 expansions for this. There's like there's a European one now, European birds, and there might be another one. I have to really congratulate these people for making a very good game. I don't believe Elizabeth Hargrave has ever made a game, but I could be wrong about that. But like, for making it for the purpose that she did, it was like, and it's a very well designed game that kind of came out of nowhere. And for being a game that's like, oh, you're looking at birds, like that doesn't sound like a great game, But like, I personally think it's a great game. Is it my favorite game? Maybe not, but it's like now that I've played it, I had I had a game's worth of experience more than you guys, and like that gesticulated for a couple of several months, and like I now like looking back on it, like I appreciated it, and I couldn't wait to like play it with you guys. I think there's like it's a very well designed game is where I'm getting at, and for as many moving parts as there are, and it's just like it actually makes you kind of a Pokemon aspect of like I want to see all the different birds in the game, and like, oh man, Rick got some weird exotic bird we'd never heard of. Randy, huh? Okay.
Yes.
It's the extinct dodo bird. Greater Roadrunner. When activated, look at a card from the deck. If under 50 centimeters, tuck it behind this bird. So that's what happens with predator birds, apparently. Play my owl now. I have an egg. And that. What is that?
It's a purple galleon mule.
Is it like a peacock? Or a quail or something?
It says it's North and South America.
What is its power?
When activated, all players draw a bird card.
Huh.
So.
Okay.
It's
worth 7 points. Kind of cool. I was like, I kind of want to look up what that bird is. Like, it sounds kind of cool, and like each bird having a different power. Like,
conversely, from my perspective, I like literally never looked at the bird ever. Because I'm like, that is worthless. What does it do?
Crap.
I wasn't like trying to avoid it. It was just like, this is more information that I don't need right now. I'm just trying to play my moves.
Yeah, you were struggling with remembering all the cards and what they did and everything.
Well, yeah, I mean that's
the bird. By the way, the bird feed
about it.
Structure. That's a cool little component. That's satisfying. I love the little dice that you can roll. They feel good. The instruction booklet has a great texture to it. So they didn't skimp on any of that stuff. And it's obviously component heavy, but yet at the same time, it packages well. It's efficient. They don't have giant oversized miniatures. You don't have a lot of moving pieces that could easily break. So it's also well packaged. Richard. Jesus Christ. Roll all dice not in. If any are rats, gain 1 rat and cash it on this card. Okay? Ricky, if you would throw those back there. None are rat, unfortunately. You got goose egg, unfortunately.
I got bird egg.
What's your final score, Ricky?
I would give
out of 100.
Of 100. I'd give it 85 out of 100.
All right.
75.
I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go 95. 90, 95, somewhere in there. I'll put a final score in the video.
Jesus Christ on a cracker.
It's just again, it's not like my favorite game I've ever played. It's just it's really well designed, and I don't think there's a whole lot you can do to improve it. If I had to make any little nitpick, I don't like that you have fewer turns per round. I would prefer that like you got more turns per round or something, because like by the end it's like you're getting more powerful and you want to like there's so much you want to do, and the game is like quickly the clock is like ticking and like coming to a close much quicker by the end of the game because you're getting fewer and fewer turns.
How many turns do we have left?
2. Okay. This one and the next one.
Okay, that's
Thank merciful God.
Let me start playing this game.
So that's like the only little nitpick I would throw at this.
I would just say, personally, like there's nothing wrong with it. It's well designed and everything. It's like watching our movies. Like, it's like all the movies are gonna be good, right? We don't watch any like movies, but it didn't stand out super high to me. Like,
I've chosen some real stinkers.
yeah,
Just so you guys know.
Basically, just like with this type of game, I've already said it, but like I guess for a
That
point
were rated
salad,
really,
I prefer
really well.
like something a little more straightforward. And for something, obviously it took, it was our first time playing. It'd probably take us half as long next time, but even so, I'd say it probably takes a decent bit longer than the standard point salad game. And if it's gonna take a longer time, I'd rather it be something like more involved or whatever to take that much longer. But it's good. There's nothing wrong with it.
So I think that's an either or.
Yes.
I'll do.
No reason why.
Cody, don't go poop. Please don't go poop again.
I'll do the
4 times, Cody? No, 4 is too many. That's 1 too many. No more pooping. 40 to 70 might be optimistic, but I would say we could comfortably get it under 2 hours most,
Oh, yeah.
most of the time.
Incredibly optimistic. They're all incredibly
Definitely.
optimistic. They're all like half the amount of time it actually takes, at least.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I love this man.
It is 4:30 a.m.
It's-
and I'm sure Ricky
You did a
busted
good
us.
job.
No, he doesn't. Look at him.
We kept the review short. You wanted aim for 5 minutes, and we did it for about 20 or so. So 15 maybe.
We do everything
You did it.
wrong. That's our consistent pattern. So
It's the game's fault, not
This
our
guy
fault.
likes to talk.
Me.
When he's had a few to drink.
Look at this guy over here.
wow. Thanks for watching.
Hey, you guys
We
will
love
never
you.
believe this.
We love
but I have
you.
to pee again.
Ricky, get your prostate checked. Like, well, you're on 3 eggs for the reach star. I will do food tucked behind my owl.
Oh, I get food.
Oh yeah, you do. Oh my god, I forgot all about that. Yep. Take a food from the. Was it any food?
Gain 1 food from the Burger King.
You can suck my pee from behind. I'm a wordsmith.
You're a something, Smith. God damn it.
Spotlight for you. There it is.
I wonder if they're attracted to lightning. Keeping that on might be.
No.
Get lands on
You'll just we'll just see a little spark like
Like a bugs everywhere.
It's like
Or like
slicing
a like a
fish in
cap
berry.
gun. It's just like, I know. Okay. I guess I'll just.
So Rick, your turn.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah. Oh god, this man, Cody. Giving me all the favors.
Oh.
Did you have which of those did you achieve? If either.
Um.
Oh, well, I turned them all the same way.
Oh.
God damn it, Ricky. You don't know which one you got? You didn't check that before the game ended?
I thought it was eggs.
Tuck something for you.
It's like a Belgian IPA.
I think it's a triple IPA.
God damn, I'm good.
Well, it's not a triple Belgian triple. It's just a triple IPA. Triple American IPA. You guessed it was an IPA. Good job, Cody. That must have been so difficult.
Make me
Triple, the
spotlight
American triple, not Belgian. You
Nah.
silly.
I disagree.
It was your. Oh. Ooh.
It was a clerical error.
Xbox volume down.
Wow.
Okay.
Just
to make sure those Adrian views of our YouTube videos.
Yeah, no, we need the volume all the way up on a movie we've seen maybe 25 times.
that means I could trade in a card.
For another food, if you
I'll
want.
do that.
Okay.